Let's hop.
Okay, let's go. It's great to meet you. Thank you so much for taking a minute out today. I appreciate it.
Great to meet you.
So, before we get into your work of healing and helping people get to a better place, I want to know this. 6 years ago, probably one of the most tumultuous events that we've all gone through as a collective humanity was COVID. How did you get through that era as a professional and as a person? And how has it changed the way that you approach things today?
What an amazing question. I never got that question. So as I got through it, my son at the time was 3 years old. So I really tried to give him, because he couldn't understand COVID, right? So tried to give him a normal life. So it influenced me. I almost felt like nothing really changed. I mean, some things did change, but we went to the playground every day. The playgrounds were closed here, right? Locked down here. But there was one place that was not officially a playground outside, and kids would just meet there. So, yeah, we really went there every day.
Yeah.
So I want to say socially, we didn't really feel an impact. Um, and I'm proud that I could do it like that for him, especially. But then that affected me too positively. And then with work, I could definitely see it picking up because people, I think, were more stressed, more at home, more looking for answers, more having time to, you know, to look inside. Because the work I do, and I know you're going to ask me a lot of questions, but I think that's so important to know also, right? It's therapy, so it's curing, right? It's helping transform things, but it's also for people that don't need any cure for anything, that say, okay, I am, at a place in my life where it's perfect, right? It can work it can work. It is always awareness enhancing, awareness widening, consciousness widening, right? Like things become conscious that were not conscious before through going to the subconscious.
So let's get into the work that you do on a daily basis. And to do that, kids always have the truth serum. They always get it out of us. I'm going to put you in front of 13-year-olds. It's career day. And one of the kids wants to know what you do for your day job. How do you synthesize what you do on a daily basis to make sense to a 13-year-old brain?
Well, I would really say I like that you asked me that question because there is a quote that I love, and it's supposed to be by Albert Einstein. I think it is by him, but I obviously don't know 100%. But it says, if you can't explain it to a 5-year-old, then you haven't fully understood it, right?
Yeah.
So I help to that actually. So what I do is I help people heal. That's one part, right? And then, like I said, the enhancing and widening of the conscious horizon. But I help people heal by finding the root of why they suffer now, right? So if I had to explain it to a 5-year-old, if somebody has a boo-boo, right? I mean, it's a metaphorical boo-boo, right? You want to see, where did it come from? Where is it? How deep is it, right? And then we go there and we put cream and a band-aid and we heal it, basically. So with this would also be, okay, you're hurting now because you believe something about yourself or about life that you started believing because of this and that, this or that incident that happened a long time ago. And you said kids are a truth serum. Our subconscious is too.
Yeah.
Our consciousness, right? Ego is involved. It wants to make it sound good, right? Sound smart, sound not embarrassing, right? Um, our consciousness can suppress, can rationalize, can dissociate, right? And these are all important mechanisms, but our subconscious doesn't do any. It's totally not biased. It always gives you the answer, the truth of the situation, of the truth, right? Our body remembers everything you ever experienced. And going back to that, I would just say, you go basically, you ask your subconscious, why do you believe that today, right? Why would someone believe that they are not lovable, that they are not enough today? there must be a reason, because they were not born like that, right? When we are born, we feel like, yeah, everybody should, when we need something, we cry and we should get it, right? We should get food or changed, our diaper, right? Like we are born with that feeling that should happen, right? And then when that doesn't happen, obviously we think, well, we use different coping mechanisms. Maybe I'm not worth it. Maybe, I don't know, right? Maybe rationalizing, maybe the work of my mom is more important than me, right? Like whatever it is, or dissociating, not feeling that it hurts me anymore, and then going through life like that, right? So we go basically back, and I'm trying to put it down again, not down, but clearer, so I could also reach 13 years old. um yeah, you really go back to the root of why you don't feel enough today, or you have a phobia today, which is often connected to that, right? Or you have a fear, or you have an addiction today. There's always a root for that. So we go back to that, and we transform that, we heal that. We let the younger self, the inner child, say what they were never able or allowed to say. Hence, we transform that.
So when you were that age, what did you want to be when you grew up?
I wanted to be a teacher and a stewardess and an actor. I don't even know if I knew. I'm 100% sure I didn't know about hypnotherapy.
Yeah.
Maybe I knew about therapy, but maybe I didn't, because growing up where I grew up, there was no therapist in the town that I grew up in. So maybe I didn't even know. I was always very curious about people, how they thought, why they act the way they do. So yeah, since I can remember. But these were my things.
So where were you born and raised?
I was born and raised in Austria,
Okay.
in a very small village. 2,500 people live there, have lived there, and it didn't really grow. Actually, it's still 2,500.
Okay. So what do you think happened early on? Because a lot of our personality is developed by three, whether conscious or subconsciously. What do you think happened in your lineage that led you to get to a point where you want to heal people and get people to a point where they're at a better place? What do you think those building blocks were?
I think those building blocks for me was an inherent, always searching, why is something, right? And as kids, we do that. Why is that? And why do people act the way they do? But also because in my lineage, there was definitely a not talking about emotions, not recognizing it even, right? That was something that was not practical enough to have space in our families from both sides, actually. um Talk about really essential things in the end, right? So I tried to, and I was always, I wanted to talk about that, and I felt like I was not heard. So I talked to anyone that would listen outside, once I could find people that were like-minded. But I think it was definitely uh, that not talking about important things.
So talk to me a little bit about inspirations. Who's an inspirational force that allowed you to get into these healing modalities to help people? That hero in your life, who's been that for you? Even not only in the beginning, but consistently to this point in your career.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, since I'm doing RTT hypnotherapy, it's definitely Marissa Peer. She's really my absolute hero. And then, I mean, I definitely was influenced by Sigmund Freud, Carl Jung. They are very yeah, they shaped a lot of my work and how I see my work and life. And then there was also Ute Hagassner. There was a teacher of mine in Austria. She does mainly family therapy, family constellation, that was actually created by Bert Hellinger, a German therapist. She was also very influential for me. Yeah, these are the main people.
So talk to me a little bit about today. Who do you admire today that's doing this work? Or more than that, who would you like to meet? Who would you like to meet and talk to that might help you?
Marissa Peer.
Yeah.
And I mean, yeah, I did meet her, but not, I mean, I would love to meet her over dinner. Yeah. And yeah.
So when you look at the field of psychology right now, you mentioned some names. What do you think has been one of the biggest breakthroughs in our lifetime that has been the best at helping people heal and get to a much better place?
I think it is the including of the subconscious, and work with the subconscious. Because on the conscious level, I think it's really hard. I mean, I'm not saying talk therapy is not effective at all. It is, and it has its place. But I think it can also miss a lot, and it can also often not go to the root, it depending on the client, right? And I think with a lot of people, they might just be able to, just never go to their issue because they can talk around it, right? You find ways. And so I think the subconscious, including of the subconscious, the exploring of the subconscious in different modalities, hypnotherapy being one of them. I think that was the biggest breakthrough.
You know, the one thing that you had mentioned too was going back in our lineages and you find where that generational trauma is. How beneficial do you think it would be if for some way that we could look at a family tree and localize and figure out where that happened and try to find a way of healing it? I mean, you talk about coming from Austria, which has had their history of wars. We're in the middle of it right now in America. Like there's all of these generational bumps that happen, like with the pandemic. What if we could find a way of going back to that generation? Because all of us go way, 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 way back, and most of us have no idea several generations back what really happened, let alone 10, 15, 20 back. So, how much of that would be important for us as humans to get to that place where we could really, truly heal so that generations ahead of us can feel that relief?
I mean, I think it's so important. Um, I just want to say with hypnotherapy, we usually don't do that because it's in this lifetime, right? We look usually into this lifetime. I mean, I've had people that went back to previous lives, but that was also their previous life then and didn't have to do with their ancestors, right? But different topic, right? But I think in this life, what we definitely know that if you heal that, if you break a cycle of something in this life, you heal it forward and backwards. And I can definitely see that in me. I can definitely see that in clients. But family constellation does, exactly that. It goes back lineages. Like in family constellation, you basically create your family. You recreate it with the participants in the session that are not your family, right? And you have representatives of your family in this circle. And that's where you can put your grandmother in, right? A representative of your grandmother, your great grandmother, if that's what shows up. So that is the modality that really goes back and looks at those traumas. In hypnotherapy, those traumas might come up because they are inherited, right? They are, I mean, that, right? There's epigenetics. I mean, they find that if your grandfather was in the war, you still have that war trauma in you, in your cells, right? So that is passed on to you, right? From from the behavior, from in your cells, from in DNA, right? If it's not healed in your lifetime, so it shows up anyways, right? But family constellation is where you really look it in the eye, and not look at how it shows up in your life and in your body, but you look where did it really happen, and you really sit there.
So was it always a dream for you to come to America?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that dream since I'm 5 years old.
So what is it like for you being an immigrant, being in this country which is the fabric of America, with everything that's going on right now? I mean, we have definitely entered a very strange time in America between wars and immigration and all of this. How is that making you feel? What year did you come here?
I came 2010.
Okay, so you've had plenty of time to see sanity. So to see things happen now, what does that mean? And the reason why I ask this, and I don't want to, I'm not trying to get into anything political. I'm trying to get into something psychological, because you came from a region that's been used to those things that many people thought America was immune to. And now we're succumbing to things that we never thought we would ever face, that we've read in the history books in Europe. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense, and it's so beautiful to. I mean, it's not beautiful, but you know what? Like, it's great to hear that from your perspective as an American, because I've never heard it put like that.
Yeah. How does that make you feel? Does that and obviously you're trying to help people right now, healing them to get to another place. That's inextricably going to be a part of our DNA now as Americans.
Yeah, I mean, coming here, I always felt like I belong here. It
Yeah.
was amazing, you know. I When I came to New York, I felt more like I belong here than Vienna. People made me feel more welcome, and I still love New York. But yeah, what's going on now, what I always find important to say, especially with people that I work with long term, it's never our work to be calm about things, right? Like, if the goal is not to be calm, because if there is crazy things happening, then the goal can't be being calm, right? Because then we are just dissociating, actually, right? We are doing what we don't want, what we want to heal, right? So I think it's very important to acknowledge what's happening and how that affects everyone. I definitely, in my personal life, feel a little uneasy, and um, and try as a parent of two young kids to not let that come across really
Yeah.
to them, you know, because I feel like I've done so much healing to be able to have broken a lot of what I was carrying, you know? And so I, yeah,
Yeah, I get
want
it.
that to be passed on.
Yeah, I understand. I feel like that's kind of my philosophy as well. I have kids, and we have to find a way to be stronger because we have more mileage on our odometer. And if we're afraid and we don't project some level of hope or optimism or strength, that ain't gonna roll downhill. It isn't just gonna magically appear in them.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm not, yeah, and I agree. I'm not saying lie, right? I'm not
No,
lying,
no, no. I know that. Yeah, yeah,
but I'm not going to tell them things that is not child friendly, appropriate to their
sure.
age. And so I can't, I really can't. I mean, that was never my thing. I just can't get into any news every day, all day long
Yeah,
mode.
it's not healthy.
Yeah,
It's
it's not.
not.
I think it sounds delusional in a way, in my opinion also, because I am very factual, but for me it's not delusional. The best thing I can do is just do the best I can to not add to it,
Yeah,
right? And
for
it's
sure.
a small contribution because I'm only one person, but it's not helping if I freak out about how things are, right? I mean, I'm making my voice clear where it can make a difference, but I'm also cautious, you know, and conscious, more than cautious, conscious, because I want to travel in summer, you know. I'm a little uneasy about that, to be honest. I have traveled every year with them for a month to Europe, and this year I'm like, you know,
Yeah. Yeah, I get it. I get it. So
Um,
is a mental health practitioner helping people heal and get to a much better place? You obviously have to go through the darkness of the human psyche and what they're dealing with, but you have to be strong because you're helping them. How do you protect yourself, take care of your soul, your family, all of that energy every day for you to do all of these separate things holistically the best you can? What is that energy when you wake up in the morning?
for me, it's chanting. I'm a Buddhist, and it's yoga.
Yeah.
So I can't, I can't always, I think there's always so much emphasis, and I think that's good on what's realistic, right? Because I also don't have an extra hour most days to do an hour of yoga or half an hour and half an hour of chanting, right? Which really connects me with that really connects me with my strength inside. But even if I do 5 minutes, it just, is different. Sometimes it's just feeling my feet on the floor, grounded. I think grounding is really important, right? Because I feel like strength, I work with that a lot because I work with a lot of women that have always needed to be strong. And I put strong in quotes because often it's actually, and we take it as a badge of honor. And I was one of those women. That's where I'm like, oh, I'm so strong and I can take this. Where I came to a point where I'm like, I don't see when somebody calls me strong. I want to actually know how that person means it, because I don't take it as a compliment anymore. Because I think how strong and strength is often meant is you just had to carry something that's not even yours. You had to just pretend nothing happened when something overwhelming happened. You just had to put an armor around and just and it created rigidity. Strong was often like rigidity, and is with a lot of my clients, or has been, right? So for me, strong, I wouldn't say I have to be strong in that sense as a therapist, but yeah, strength really being connected to your own true self, hence then being vulnerable, right? Because if you're true to yourself, we are all human beings, we are vulnerable, we are we are all scared of things, we are all happy about things, we are all emotional human beings.
So let me ask you this. If you had a dream tonight
A
and
dream. Mhm.
yeah, you were in a dream tonight and you ran into that version of you before you came to America and you walked into a room and there was a film projector and you went up and you hit play and there was a 60-second highlight reel of the life you've lived, the life you've orchestrated, would that younger version of you believe that your life turned out this way?
Hmm. Wow. um i I want to say yes, but that might just be also my hope. I was always like, I never lost hope. So I was always, even if I was struggling, even if I was in the dumpsters and down, in that moment, I probably didn't think it. But I think there was always this idealistic belief, that hope that transformation is possible. And then when I found it, I was very delighted, obviously. But in general, I'm a person looking back, like sometimes friends would tell me, oh, do you remember like a year ago you had such a hard time about this and this? And I'm like, oh yeah, I now that you say it, I remember it, but i'm I don't remember it on a daily basis. So I think I work more like that. But when I look back to who I was then, it's really that strength, that rigidity. I had the feeling I had to just be strong. And I put myself into situations where I had to just be strong, because I put myself in situations where it was just unbearably hard. And that was really chosen on a subconscious level, I guess. It was almost like, I have to just make it. I have to just make it. That was a mantra.
Yeah.
And now it's like, it can be easy. It
Yeah.
can be nice. It can be, no shoe is going to drop.
Yeah. Yeah. So let me ask you this. If you were to walk into a room of everybody that's known you professionally that you've either worked with or who has been a client throughout all these years, and you could walk to a podium and tell them a fun story, maybe a magical place that you traveled to, the first live music concert you saw, something emblematic of your time of being in America and being a citizen, jumping out of an airplane, outrunning a bear. If you could tell them a fun story that would humanize you to this room that sees you as a professional mental health warrior, what would you tell that room that would be a fun, humanizing story?
I mean, it's more than just what you just said, right? But I'm gonna make it as short as I can. So I met a lady. So I came here to study acting, right, in 2010, and I did a 2-year program. And then either it was in those 2 years, or no, it was in those 2 years exactly, because it was my second Thanksgiving here, and we don't have Thanksgiving in Austria, right? Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday. I love it. I had the best Thanksgiving here, the Thanksgivings here, and in September, before that second Thanksgiving, so it was 2011, I went to an audition, one of those where you had to have 100 people before you. And there was one lady, Afro-American lady, maybe in her 50s, 60s. And I started talking to her, and she was so motherly. And I fell in love with her as a mother, like as a mother figure. And we talked, and then I think we connected on Facebook, and I was just like, oh, I wish she would invite me to Thanksgiving. I didn't even know how she celebrated Thanksgiving, and she did. And it was the best Thanksgiving. And then I went back for Christmas. I was invited for Christmas again. I lived by myself, I mean, with roommates at the time. And I went back to Thanksgiving, and she says, do you want to see a movie with my son? And I'm like, well, who is your son? Turns out Tay Diggs is her son, was her son, and she passed away a few years ago. But that probably was my funniest New York story.
That's great. That's a great story. I
That
love it. So, when you look back in the proverbial rearview mirror of your life, of everything that you've done, accomplished, overcome, what are you ultimately the happiest about, the proudest of?
I don't know if I could say one. Um, my kids.
Yeah.
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 Hmm.
So let's dig in a little further into who you are. Everyone has a perception of you.
Hmm.
Family, friends, clients, everyone in different circles, but you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
I my perception is that I am a determined, um, determined human being that has very strong visions and doubts herself sometimes. And yeah, others is very hopeful and sees, if she just continually puts in the effort, um, she can achieve. That's very, that's where my focus is in life, actually. Yeah.
So
And
for
I also see myself as warm, especially when I think about my kids now, right? Um, I'm definitely very warm to my clients, to my kids, to my friends. So I think that is the has higher priority there, because there's this one side that is really like, oh, let's do it,
yeah.
determinate. And then there's this, oh, let's enjoy it. Oh, so much warmth, so much love.
So who should be coming to you for hypnotherapy? Who would be ideal to explore, hire you, ask questions?
So hypnotherapy is really for anybody. I mean, it's really, yeah. Like I said before, you can heal things, but you can also expand your mind, expand your subconscious and your conscious awareness of yourself. But what I work mostly with and what I'm most experienced with is childhood trauma,
Okay.
childhood trauma, PTSD, insomnia, addiction, all connected, right? Self-confidence, procrastination, phobias, fears. So these are. the main issues I've worked in the last years with.
So where should people go? Where's the best place for them to go to reach out?
The best place is to go to my website. That's www.whyhypnotherapy.com, and why is the question, why hypnotherapy?
Sure.
Or they can just Google my name, Karoline Fischer, and you find the Google website, and yeah.
Okay. I will put all these links in the show notes. Thank you so much. Thank you for taking a minute out today. It's been wonderful to get into your story and your work. I appreciate it. Best of luck with everything.
Thank you so much. It was such a wonderful time talking to you.
Yes, absolutely.